ladies and gentlemen, heads of delegations, honorable ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum.
Après avoir
Having listened attentively to the recitation of the verses from the Holy Quran, I would like to express my sincere welcome to all of you to this
51. Dışişleri Bakanları Konsey Oturum Toplantısına hoş geldiniz demek istiyorum. Söylendiği üzere biz de 50. Dışişleri Bakanları oturumunun dönem başkanlığını üstlenmiştik.
In that regard, we would like to have the opportunity to read out the statement, our statement as chairperson of the 50th session of the ICM. Your Excellencies, Mr. Minister Mamadou Tangara, representative of the chairman of the 15th session of the Islamic Summit, Your Excellency, Madam, Mr. Minister, Honorable Ministers, Foreign Ministers, dear colleagues of mine, Your Excellency, the Secretary General of the Organization of Islamic Cooperation, the OIC, Honorable ladies and gentlemen, heads of delegations, distinguished guests, Assalamu alaikum. At the outset of my statement, this is a great privilege for me to salute, first of all, the presence amongst us of the high figures that have kindly responded to the invitation issued by the General Secretariat to attend these proceedings. As you all know, the 51st session of the Islamic Conference of Foreign Ministers of our organization is placed under the theme, and I quote, "The OIC in a mutating world." Afterwards, or thereafter, I would like to express my due gratitude and thanks to the high authorities of the Republic of Turkey for the particular attention for the delegation accompanying me and to myself, and the interest and the care we've been surrounded with since we arrived in this state, my country, Cameroon, and I wish to express due thanks for the excellent relations and our bilateral and multilateral relations, of which my country has witnessed the development of one of the greatest empires known by the world, which is considered rightfully as the link between our world and the West. It is for me the opportune occasion, furthermore, to hail the action undertaken by Turkey within the framework of the ARC, within its values and ideals, as well as in favor of the ideals and causes of the Islamic Ummah. This has been well reflected through the positive contribution, a significant contribution of this country to the implementation of the activities of the various organs and institutions of the OIC. I have in mind, in particular, COMSEC, the CESRIC, and so on. Yesterday, we attended here in Istanbul, attended the celebration of the 20th anniversary of the Forum of Youth of the Organization of Islamic Cooperation, ECG, under the high patronage of the President of the Republic of Turkey, His Excellency Mr. Recep Ahmed Tayyip Erdogan. My due thanks are also extended to the higher authorities of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, particularly His Majesty King Salman, custodian of the two holy mosques, and the Crown Prince and Prime Minister Mohammed bin Salman for their constant support to our organization and for their determined and multi-form support extended to Cameroon. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, 11 months after the 50th session of the ICM that was hosted in August 2024 in Yaoundé, it is a great privilege for me, on behalf of the government of Cameroon and in my own person, to reiterate the expression of profound gratitude to your organization and your consistent support that have enabled us not only to achieve the success that have taken place in Cameroon and that was crowned with the Yaoundé Declaration, and that contributed furthermore to advance the causes of the Islamic Ummah. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, as you all have noted, this chairmanship took place within an international context marked with the aggravated conflict in all across the world, including in the space of the OIC. In addition, since 15 June 2025, the region has entered in a new cycle of violence with the war between Israel and Iran, for which we have provided for a special session this afternoon. With regard to the situation in Gaza, our organization has undertaken multiple actions towards reaching a lasting solution to this crisis. It is within this optic that an extraordinary joint summit was organized with the League of Arab States on 11th November 2024 in Riyadh, and the 20th extraordinary session of the Council of Ministers of Foreign Affairs on the 7th of March 2025 in Jeddah. At these encounters, the Islamic Ummah has initiated, amongst others, the following actions: the condemnation of violence, a call for an immediate stop of hostilities, the recognition of continued action in favor of humanitarian action in Gaza, the relaunching of negotiations between the belligerent parties to achieve a lasting solution and peace, the creation of a Palestinian state within its internationally recognized borders to live side by side with Israel in peace, security, and mutual respect. This is a commitment and a promise for a lasting, just and fair solution for all the Middle East. This session, in favor of which Cameroon, under the high patronage of the government of the head of state, is still firmly sustained. Under the current situation and with the conflict between Iran and Israel, we call for an immediate cessation of hostilities and to invite the two parties to negotiation, dialogue. If the time before us is taken advantage of, before the aggravation of the conflict. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, heads of delegations, distinguished guests, despite this difficult context, Cameroon, which is fully aware of the responsibilities of the mandate entrusted to it by Your Excellencies, has committed to work side by side with you and with your support during its chairmanship at the head of the CMA for the implementation of the resolutions adopted by our leaders at the 50th session of the Council. Given the time constraints, I shall not fail and I will not have sufficient time to give you a full and detailed overview of our actions. However, allow me to quote a few results and achievements that we have attained together. Under this register, I would like to reiterate my appreciation for the conclusions of the International Conference of Donors, for the mobilization of funds in favor of the refugees and for the benefit of the Sahel region and the Lake Chad region that was held in Jeddah in December 2025, and which allowed the collection of $1,100,000 in the form of donations, without failing to note that the objective of achieving the goals of the conference, for which we wish every success, such as to alleviate the sufferings of the peoples. We wish here to express our due thanks to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia for its leadership under this file. Let me also express appreciation for the relaunch of an important dossier, that is the finalization of the funds statute of the OIC through the two meetings that were held at the headquarters in November 2024 and February 2025. The project for the railway line between Dakar and the rest of the African countries that was held in Jeddah and Kingdom of Saudi Arabia on the 24th of February 2025, and the meeting of the Committee of the Permanent Representatives of Korea. Yet, these encounters have led to concrete recommendations similar to the adoption of the roadmap relevant to the maturation of the railway project Dakar-Port Sudan, and the manifestation of interest of the funding partners for the said project, the submission to our examination for adoption of the statute for the humanitarian fund of the OIC. Now, with regard to the 10-year program of action of our organization for the period 2025-2036, the results achieved by the experts and who have worked under our directives and support, such as to accelerate the finalization of the proceedings and to expedite the entry of force after the end of the former plan, which will come to its end in December 2025. Similarly, I would like to underline the holding of the meeting of midterm evaluation program for the implementation of the resolutions of 50th session that I have personally chaired together with His Excellency the Secretary General on 6 March 2025 at the headquarter state in 2025, and with the contribution of the different institutions. This meeting points, as it seems to me, indicating a better future to advance certain dossiers. I'm convinced that we could envisage the implementation and approved follow-up and for the benefit of our organization. I should like, therefore, humbly to suggest to my colleague from Turkey to experiment during their chairmanship of the 51st session of the CFM to give it a further vigor institutionally. The challenges before us as an organization are multiple, as you all know, and are a call for patience, wisdom, and dialogue that would help us overcome our difficulties. We can only achieve the complete reform of our organization without such commitment, which is our OIC organization, which is the second largest organization worldwide, so that we can make of our organization a most influent institutions. This is the necessary action that could lead our action in future in this mutating world. In this regard, the mission entrusted to the Permanent Council in Yaoundé for the reform of the personnel statute has made it possible for us to relaunch these activities and to attain, during our deliberations, positive conclusions, which, as I'm convinced, will facilitate the process of global reform of our organization with a consensual vision which has brought together most of our member states.
Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, heads of delegation, distinguished delegates, at the time of ending the term of Cameroon at the head of the CFM, the second institutional decision mechanism of the OIC after the summit, I wish to extend to you, to the Secretary General, our greetings to the Secretary General for the efforts, considerable efforts made. Cameroon is honored for this trust bestowed in it. Once again, I wish to reiterate our sincere thanks to all. We thank you for your support during our term at the presidency of the 50th CFM. In addition, and with a great deal of pleasure, that I testify to our thanks to the Republic of Turkey for having accepted to organize these meetings in Istanbul for the second time after the welcome of the June session in 2004. I wish you full success And I wish full success to His Excellency Hakan Fidan, and I wish him full success as he takes the chairmanship of CFM in accordance with the will of member states as translated in resolution 51 adopted unanimously in Yaoundé. While I reiterate our thanks, remain assured of the trust of our country to consolidate the gains of organization and to attain our objectives. Here I humbly congratulate the participants and the OIC organizations to continue providing its constant support.
Justice, love, and solidarity among all people throughout the world without any discrimination. Vive l'Organisation de la Coopération islamique, vive la coopération internationale. Je vous remercie de votre aimable attention. Shukran.
I thank you very much for your attention. Thank you. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, after the statement I have made on the outcomes of the 50th CFM, allow me now to submit for adoption the membership of the Bureau of the 51st session of the Council of Foreign Ministers in accordance with the rules of procedure of the CFM in resolution number 751 LO, which we unanimously adopted in Yaoundé in the Republic of Cameroon in 2024 during the 50th session of the CFM. The Bureau of the 51st session of the CFM is as follows. A chairperson, the Republic of Turkey. Vice chairperson, and we have three of them. We have the State of Palestine, the Islamic Republic of Mauritania, and the Republic of Côte d'Ivoire. Rapporteur, the Republic of Cameroon. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I see no objection made to the membership of this Bureau. I declare the Bureau unanimously elected. Excellencies, dear colleagues,
Okay, j'annonce.
So I recognize the arrival of His Excellency, the Minister of Foreign Affairs of the Republic of Turkey.
Je vous transfère très
I respectfully give you the chairmanship of this bureau. Should I have the glove with me? Yes.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim.
Distinguished ministers, distinguished Secretary General of the Islamic Cooperation Organization, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. This is the 51st session of the Council of Foreign Ministers that we are organizing in Istanbul with the theme of the OIC in a transforming world. Welcome. The dignity, the solemnity of the civilization of Islam has been carried by this ancient city for many years, and today it is a meeting point where we have new hopes for our joint future. It is at the same time a center of regional and global peace activities. For the last year, I would like to indicate our gratitude for the Republic of Cameroon that have undertaken the position of term president in a successful manner. The strong voice raising from Africa is actually showing that the Islamic world is in a multi-center awakening process. The voice of Africa is our voice. We believe that Africa regaining its position in the regional arena, we believe our organization has an important role to play. Distinguished guests and my distinguished brothers, during our term presidency, we are going to raise the voice of Islamic geography, the Muslim world, and we will prioritize establishing global justice, and we will stand strong against persecution. Today, this meeting is organized in a crisis line from Gaza to Iran, from Lebanon to Yemen. Unfortunately, this is how we are organizing this meeting. There are many countries representing the Muslim world, and we're passing through dire days, and their participation to this meeting is a very good example to our solidarity. Israel, that continues its massacre in Gaza and smears blood on the occupied territories, now is attacking our neighbor Iran and is bringing us to the verge of a holistic disaster in the region. We first of all need to focus on this aggression that does not recognize any boundaries. We are going to discuss our strong strengths and joint steps vis-à-vis this aggression. Actually, all the challenges in the geography of the OIC, we believe it needs to be resolved through regional ownership. Unfortunately, we shouldn't forget that divided ummah weakens and the divided hearts are not victorious. We see the ummah as a whole, and we believe that the Muslim minorities and communities that act as a bridge between the Muslim world and the different countries are an integral part of this group. And we will hopefully discuss their status quo in this meeting, and we will be discussing the joint steps we can take for their faith. Distinguished brothers, Multilateralism is the basis of international cooperation, but we're passing through a legitimacy crisis which is questioning the system itself. Increasing intolerance, identity-based polarization, and the erosion of international law is actually increasing the global instability feeling. The protectionist policies have gained a dominant position in international relations. Starting from the United Nations Security Council, the international mechanisms are becoming non-functional, and the violence in Gaza is actually an important example to witness this. Our organization should play a leading role, especially on this point. We are representing 1/4 of the population of the whole world, and Islamic countries that have immense resources should actually be a pioneer of a system, of global system that will defend justice and prioritize rights. The organization should adapt to new conditions, and we need to make sure that our organization adapts to these conditions. The fact that we have high representation to our meeting is showing our determinism that we want to act together and in unity, and it's showing our joint strength. In this turbulent period, Islam is actually the leading guidance that we are all in need of. In the Holy Quran, in the Ali Imran verse, it says, "And hold firmly together to the rope of Allah, and do not be divided." With this understanding, our organization, beyond being a platform of dialogue, should be an important function of coordination and consensus of member states and play an important function to the same. Turkey is a founding member of OIC, and we will continue to play a constructive and pioneering role for the full potential of the organization to be exhibited. During our term presidency, we will focus on 4 main areas in our activities: collaboration and solidarity on the ongoing crisis and focusing on the resolutions, developing further relations with other countries and international institutions between the OIC and these partners, continue defending the rights of the Muslim minorities and communities with determinism, increasing capacities of member countries, and organizing sectoral meetings to this aim. Distinguished participants, the ongoing aggression of Israel and occupationist policies makes sure that we have an Israel problem in our region in all its clarity. This problem is neither a Palestinian, Lebanon, Syrian, or Yemen, or Iran problem. This is clearly Israel problem. While the negotiations on the nuclear program of Iran are continuing, the attacks that have been undertaken by Israel vis-à-vis Iran, we strongly condemn these attacks. This could lead to a disaster in our region and have negative reflections on the many other regions, and we believe that this unlawful attack should end immediately. The first priority of the international society should be to avoid the spiral of violence, which is going to even endanger the regional and global security further. As Turkey, we are ready to fulfill our obligations. Under the leadership of His Excellency, the President of our Republic, we are supporting any diplomatic step to avoid the further escalation of the tensions, and we are constantly in contact with the relevant partners. The members of the OIC should act in unison vis-à-vis Israel's attack, and they should have a strong solidarity with Iran vis-à-vis these attacks. The massacre policies and the crimes against humanity of Israel against the Palestinians are continuing. It's not just in Gaza, but the Western Bank is being transformed into a war zone. The aim of Israel is to exile all Palestinians and undermine the two-state solution vision. Permanent ceasefire, releasing the hostages, and uninterrupted humanitarian access to Gaza is our priority. The negotiations that are continuing to this aim are strongly supported by us. We would like to thank Qatar and Egypt for their efforts in this problem. The two-state solution and the just and permanent peace is only achieved through this two-state solution. The ongoing occupation in the Palestinian territory is the root cause of all the clashes in our region, and we can see this more clearly now. The Palestinian issue and owning Jerusalem is the reason of existence for the OIC. My distinguished brothers, vis-à-vis our joint efforts today with our Syrian brothers, we are walking towards a stable and welfare Syria target. And we're very happy that Syria is back in our organization. The loosening of the ongoing sanctions, and in a simultaneous manner, we should actually stand by our Syrian brothers. The Balkans are an ancient part of the Muslim geography, and we do not just have historical ties, but it's also carrying the signatures of our joint civilization and our fraternity. Our Muslim brothers living have passed through various challenges, and today they're standing against determinism and dignity vis-à-vis the threat of being divided. We should show that they're not alone, and the Muslim world is actually owning our Bosnian brothers. This is our joint task. The discrimination and secessionist rhetoric is totally condemned by us, and the revisionist approaches pertaining to religion and ethnicity are condemned by us. On the other hand, for 3 years there have been clashes that created deep pain in our Sudanese brothers. As Turkey, we are supporting all regional and international peace activities to resolve this crisis. And we are invited international society to sincerely contribute to peace and welfare and stability in Sudan. We should not forget that the resolution of this problem is not just important for the Sudanese people, but also for the whole continent and predominantly the Horn of Africa. On the other hand, Pakistan and Hindustan are, India are passing through some clashes, and this is actually putting forward the vulnerability in Southeast Asia of peace and stability. The decision of ceasefire between the parties is appreciated by us, and we do hope that this is going to be resolving the problem through dialogue. If the clashes starting from Kashmir is not resolved, the tension potential is going to increase. We should actually make the dialogue channels functional. A direct and healthy dialogue is going to be important for peace, security, and stability in Southeast Asia. In the island of Cyprus, there are 2 nations and 2 states. The Islamic world is an important unity, and the Turkish Republic of Northern Cyprus is represented as an observer in our family. But unfortunately, the Turks of Cyprus have been subject to unjust and inhuman isolation that have been imposed on them for decades now. We invite all the member countries to support the natural rights of the Turkish people living in Cyprus and support them directly. The Turkish Muslim minority and the Turkish population living in the Dodecanese are also subject to important violations that eliminates them to benefit from their fundamental rights. The interest of the OIC vis-à-vis this issue is important for the ethnic identities, the religious education and cultural rights to be recognized by the Greek authorities. My distinguished brothers, our Ummah is great and strong, and we should use this strength to bring stability and welfare to our region. We should stand against all those people who are destructing their environment, and it is now the day that our organization should be one body and one soul to give one voice. Before I end my remarks, I would like to thank the representatives of our ministry and the Secretary General for the organization of this meeting. And the exchange of opinion and negotiations that we are going to undertake during the meetings, I believe, will bring fruitful results. During our term presidency, we will have closer cooperation with all the member states. And once again, I would like to thank you for your valuable support.
Geliyor da şurada ne diyorsun kardeşim? Şurada ne diyorsun?
Beyefendi geliyor efendim.
Şurada ne diyorsun?
Moritanya efendim. Moritanya'ya geliyor.
Now I will hand over the chairmanship for a brief time, my brother from Mauritania, because my president is coming to address the distinguished guests. With your permission, I will go and greet him. Thank you.
Buradan efendim. Buyurun.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. الكلمة الآن للسيد ميغيل أنخيل.
We would like now to invite Mr. Miguel Moratinos, the representative of the United Nations for the Alliance of Civilizations and also the combat of Islamophobia. Mr. Moratinos, you representative of the Alliance of Civilization and Special Envoy of the United Nations for the fight against Islamophobia. Mr. Miguel Moratinos, you have the floor.
Special Envoy to combat Islamophobia. and as High Representative for the United Nations Alliance of Civilization, a mandate I honor to carry forward with humility and full determination. I seize this opportunity to thank the OIC member states for support for my new mandate. And I also congratulate the Republic of Turkey for taking over the chairmanship of the 51st session of OIC. My dear friends, around the world, Muslims continue to face discrimination and persistent dehumanization for no other reason than their faith. Furthermore, Muslims are often challenged with institutional discrimination and socioeconomic restriction. Such biases are manifested in the stigmatization and the unwarranted racial profiling of Muslims, reinforced by biased media representation and by the anti-Muslim rhetoric and policies of some political leaders. Many such acts of intolerance and suspicion may not be reflected into official statistics, but they degrade people's dignity of our common humanity. It's in this context that the adoption of the General Assembly Resolution 78-264 in 2024 on measures to combat Islamophobia is a high milestone in our collective effort to combat this scourge. The resolution condemns the incitement to discrimination, hostility, or violence against Muslims as manifested in the increasing number of incidents of desecration of the Holy Book, attack on mosques and religious sites, and the insidious stereotyping of Muslims that too often goes unchallenged. My dear friend, Islamophobia is not merely a matter of prejudice. It is a violation of human rights, a threat to social cohesion, and affront to the principle enshrined in the UN Charter. Islamophobia is not confined to geographical boundaries. It manifests its overt violence, but also in the quietest cruelty of exclusion. When Muslim women are denied employment because of their health care, when children are bullied in the school because of their name, when entire communities are survived or vilified in political discourse, that is Islamophobia. Equally concerning is the digital amplification of hatred. Online platforms have become fertile ground for the spread of anti-Muslim narrative, often reinforced by algorithms. The digital space, once hailed as frontier of freedom, is now too often a theater for hostility. My friends, but while the problem is global, so too must be the solution. Resolution 78-264 rightly emphasizes the transformative power of intercultural, interreligious dialogue. The United Nations Alliance of Civilization stands ready to deepen partnership to promote mutual respect, coexistence, and understanding across faiths, culture, and sectors. Our work is not to defend any one religion, it's to defend the human right of all people to practice their religion or faith without fear. As a special envoy, I intend to work in close coordination with OIC member states and member states, civil society, faith leaders, and regional organizations to advance a comprehensive strategic rooted in prevention, education, legal protection, and awareness raising. This includes, to mention a few, support a national action plan and a strategy addresses Islamophobia, to work on content analysis, encouraging responsible media and digital governance to counter online hate speech, to establish a compendium to serve as results hub document incidents of Islamophobia based on a robust monitoring mechanism, to identify legislative gaps that may prevent the adoption of adequate measures to address Islamophobic incidents, to develop media literacy programs to promote critical thinking skills, to collaborate and coordinate with counterparts in other international and regional organizations, including envoys to combat Islamophobia, to conduct visits to places where acts of Islamophobia are recurrent, engage with relevant stakeholders to find common ground in addressing this incident, to advance the mapping of religious sites through the UN Plan of Action of Safeguarding Religious Sites, which was developed by UNOIC. We will go to Astana in September to this summit of traditional religious leaders, and in Astana we'll present a specific plan to how to protect mosques and Islamic sites. Last but not least, to develop an action plan to combat Islamophobia that will be finalized in 2026. I also plan to convene a high-level event on addressing Islamophobia at the UN headquarters in New York in 2026. It will be good if we could have that on 14 March in honor of the International Day of Combating Islamophobia. The high-level gathering will bring together member states and non-state actors, including civil society, religious leaders, think tanks, and media, to exchange views on good practices in addressing Islamophobia. Allow me to also to underline the importance of accountability. In this context, an annual report on implementation effort is necessary. This is not a bureaucratic exercise. It is a moment to measure progress, identify gaps, and ensure that our action match our rhetoric. In closing, let us remind ourselves that combating Islamophobia is not a task for Muslims alone. It's a global imperative requiring political will, moral courage, and sustained multilateral cooperation. Is the demonization of Islam in Europe and beyond is not acceptable, not justifiable. So 2 million of people in this world have the right to live in peace and dignity, free of fear and injustice. Let us reaffirm our shared vision. Our world with diversity is not merely tolerated but celebrated. A world with dignity is not contingent upon identity or confined to a specific religion or faith. Let us rise to the occasion. The stakes are too high, and the silence of inaction is no longer an option. I thank you very much. Shukran.
Shukran.
I thank you. I thank you, Your Excellency.
Değerli konular, Türkiye Cumhurbaşkanı Sayın Recep Tayyip Erdoğan.
Distinguished guests, the President of the Republic of Turkey, Recep Tayyip Erdogan, has honored us with his presence. Now I would like to invite His Excellency to deliver his remarks.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Sayın Genel Sekreter,
Esteemed Secretary General, esteemed Ministers of Foreign Affairs, my dear brothers and sisters, let me greet you all with warm regards and heartfelt feelings. Esselamu Aleyküm, Rahmetullahi ve Berekatüh. Today, I'm really happy and fortunate to be with you here with the esteemed representatives of the Islamic world. I hope that the consultations and deliberations you will hold for 2 days here and the decisions that you will take, I hope will prove to be beneficial for the Islamic Ummah and for the entire humanity. I'm sure that you will once again announce to the whole world, make it clear to the whole world, the support of our organization for the achievement of global peace and prosperity through the decisions you will take here. The effects of the meeting at an extraordinarily critical time now will be felt not only in our countries, for sure, but hopefully all over the world. At the beginning of my speech, I once again commemorate with mercy our more than 55,000 brothers and sisters, more than 65% of whom are children and women, who were martyred by Israeli army in Gaza. And I wish healing to our 128,000 brothers and sisters who were injured in the same attacks in Gaza. Turkey knows the pain of our Palestinian brothers and sisters as our own pain and their sadness as our own sorrow. Our Palestinian brothers and sisters should know the following: no matter how dark the darkness of oppression is now, inshallah, God willing, justice will be manifested and victory will surely belong to those who believe. With God's permission, I sincerely believe that we will see good days. When we will talk about victories, we'll talk about joy and peace instead of suffering, cruelty and death. Distinguished guests, for the last 2 years now, we have been increasingly confronted with Israel's policies of occupation, destruction, and massacre. With the unconditional support of the Western powers, Israel continues to destabilize our region. First, they attacked Gaza and the West Bank. They have turned Gaza into a gigantic wreck in front of the eyes of the entire world. They have been bombing health facilities, schools, mosques, and churches. They have brutally slaughtered people who were waiting in line for help just to buy a sack of flour, a bowl of soup, or just a loaf of dry bread. Every day, hundreds of innocent civilians, mostly children and women, mind you, are deliberately martyred by Israeli forces. For 21 months now, our 2 million brothers and sisters living in Gaza have been struggling to survive in poor conditions that go far beyond even the concentration camps of the Nazis. In addition to Gaza, Israel also targeted Lebanon, Yemen, and Syria. In addition to air bombardments, they have tried to incite different groups within Syria against the government. So they have tried to trigger turmoil in Syria as well. And now, since the 13th of June, Israel's state terrorism is now being experienced by our neighbor Iran. I would like to say the following clearly. With all these attacks, the Netanyahu government has once again proved that it is the biggest obstacle in front of regional peace. I strongly condemn Israel's attacks on Iran. On behalf of my country and my nation, I offer my condolences for our Iranian brothers and sisters who lost their lives in Israel's terrorist attacks, bombings and assassinations. We have no doubt that the Iranian people, with thousands of years of history, solidarity in the face of difficulties, and strong state experience, they hopefully, inshallah, will be able to overcome these challenging days. I also find it useful to underline the following. The way to describe and define Israel's attacks on Gaza, Lebanon, Yemen, Syria, and finally, most recently on Iran, is outright banditry. The measures taken by Iran to defend its people in the face of this state terrorism of Israel within the framework of self-defense are measures which are quite natural, legitimate, and legal. Dear brothers and sisters, what we are seeing day by day is the following. It is clear now that these aggressions, these aggressive actions, which violate international law, serve Israel's policy of strategic destabilization in the region. Of course, it is significant that the attacks took place at a time when negotiations on Iran's nuclear program were intensifying. Israel is not subject to any control or audit for its nuclear activities and does not care about anyone in terms of transparency. So it is a great hypocrisy for them to talk against the parties to the Treaty on the Non-Proliferation of Nuclear Weapons. The Netanyahu government actually aimed to undermine the negotiation process with its attacks on the 13th of June. This incident also shows that Netanyahu and his murder ring do not want any issues or any matters to be solved diplomatically. Again, Israel, instead of living in peace side by side with an independent and geographically integrated Palestinian state with East Jerusalem as its capital on the basis of the 1967 borders, instead of coexisting with them, Israel is rather trying to spread the war to the entire region. Just as the spark ignited by Hitler 90 years ago set the whole world on fire from the Pacific to the Atlantic, from the Indian Ocean to the North Sea, today, similarly, Netanyahu's Zionist ambitions have no other purpose than to drag our region and, in fact, the whole world into a big disaster. Targeting the sanctity of Masjid-i-Aqsa, our first Qibla, attempting to hijack the historical status of Al-Quds al-Sharif. Now, these are intentions to divide our region with some maps in mind. And these even now being talked about in the public. We see all of these as moves of an insidious plan. We are, in fact, well aware of what Netanyahu wants to do. Those who think that they can establish their security by drowning the region in fire, in conflict, chaos, and in tears are following a crude dream. Israel cannot ensure its own security by threatening the security of its own neighbors. They will gradually see that things may not go as planned. Israel's claim that it will establish order in our region with its bloody hands reveals the blindness and darkness of those who govern that country. I would like to emphasize here that Turkey will not allow the establishment of a new Sykes-Picot order in our region, the borders of which will be drawn with blood. We will not sit back and watch the people of Gaza being punished with hunger, with state and settler terror in the West Bank, and attempts to destroy the historical status quo of Al-Aqsa Mosque and Jerusalem, the cradle of the Abrahamic religions. From here, I once again appeal to the international community, especially to the countries that have influence over Israel. No one should pay attention to Netanyahu's poisonous words wrapped in praise in an attempt to exacerbate the conflict. Our region cannot afford a new war or instability. What we need is common sense, restraint, caution, never to fall into the hiddlenesses of covering up a wrong with a bigger wrong. Today, let's emphasize once again that the solution lies in diplomacy and in dialogue. We are, in fact, ready to do whatever falls on us, including facilitation. Since the 13th of June, we have made serious efforts to restore calm. And we have really made some efforts. Inshallah, hopefully, we'll continue these contacts patiently until we get actual results. Distinguished ministers, distinguished friends, under the current circumstances, the achievement of a two-state solution has become all the more vital. We should continue to encourage more countries to recognize the state of Palestine. And we must continue to coordinate our efforts to take coercive measures against Israel on the basis of international law and on the basis of the Charter of the United Nations. We hope that the international conference to advance the two-state solution, which was planned to be held in New York this week under the leadership of Saudi Arabia, but was postponed due to the recent attacks. We hope this meeting will be organized at the earliest opportunity. And I wish Saudi Arabia success in this initiative. Of course, I have to underline the following as well. Like between two siblings who are children of the same mother, there may possibly be differences of opinion, and these are actually natural facts of life. Likewise, these are also natural facts of politics and diplomacy. But being brothers or sisters also means sharing the same destiny. For example, the fate of Istanbul is not separate from the fate of Damascus or the fate of Baghdad, that of Cairo, Sana'a, the fate of Islamabad, for example, or that of Kabul, Tripoli, Tehran, the fate of Mecca and Medina, and of course the fate of Jerusalem and Gaza. These fates are not different. Turks, Kurds, Arabs, Persians, Sunni, Shiite, Alawite, African, Asian, Latin American, and all other sects and origins, as well as Muslims, have a common faith, just as we all have a common Qibla. Each and every one of us, we all say, La ilaha illallah Muhammadun Rasulullah. And when it comes to our common cause or causes or our common interests, it is our duty to put aside our differences, and it's our duty to get united. We cannot possibly allow the differences between us, the attitude differences between us, to be a hindrance to us, particularly in this current critical period that we are going through. And recently, we have seen that balances politics, fragile relations may not always yield results. In this event, in this meeting of our organization, and our organization, by the way, represents the voice and conscience of the Ummah. In this meeting, we need to clearly announce our position, our stance against Israel's policies that have turned the entire region into a place of fire. Today, we need to hold on to each other tighter, to tighten our ranks even more, to expand our boundaries of tolerance towards one another even more. That's what we need. We should take the following command of Rasul Ekrem, the Holy Prophet Muhammad, as our guide. He said the following, quote, 2 is better than 1, 3 is better than 2, 4 is better than 3. Get into an alliance, unquote, he said. Yes, we sincerely wish to reach the days when our Palestinian brothers and sisters will eventually achieve national unity among themselves. And it saddens us to see division and fragmentation among our brothers and sisters, while we are all mobilized for the Palestinian people as we are here today. It is our sincere desire to pledge to unity and solidarity, whatever it is, regardless, against separation, against polarization. Dear guests, in a multipolar world, it is a must that the Islamic world of 2 billion people becomes a pole on its own. We are on the eve of a period in which the Islamic world will play a much greater role, but at the same time will assume more responsibility. Turkey's presidency of the Council of Foreign Ministers begins now in a period when the spiral of violence in our region is being triggered again by Israel, and stability and peace are being threatened. We need to show more solidarity to stop Israel's banditry in Syria, in Lebanon, and Iran as well, as it has done in Palestine. So we need solidarity. Our organization, since the day it was founded, has always carried the message of peace and dialogue, and it has always stood firm against all kinds of extremism. And from now on too, we'll fight back and overcome difficulties together. Our organization, with its 57 members, it is the second largest international organization after the United Nations. And as such, as an organization, it is in a better position to make it more efficient. It should be more efficient, it should operate as a tool of economic and social development. In verse 10 of Surah Al-Hujurat, Allah Almighty says the following, quote, believers are only brothers and sisters, so make amends between your brothers and sisters, and fear Allah that you may have mercy, unquote. For this, we will first resolve conflicts within ourselves. If we do not take ownership of our own issues with our own common sense and will, we end up serving the interests of others. As members of a common history, of a common civilization, and above all, as members of a common faith, we have the will and capacity to produce solutions on every issue that concerns our future. During our presidency, we'll continue to actively fight Islamophobia. I would like to take this opportunity to express our satisfaction with Syria's return to membership in the Organization of Islamic Cooperation and the progress made towards its reintegration into the international community. The glorious victory of our Syrian brothers and sisters by giving hundreds of thousands of martyrs This victory has opened the doors of a new period. The Syrian people, thank God, look to their future with much more hope now in all respects. Turkey will continue to increase its multidimensional support to Syria so that Syria can stand on its own feet. Syria needs the support of all of us, meaning the entire Islamic world, in order to preserve its territorial integrity and its national unity, and in order to achieve lasting stability. I do sincerely believe that all member countries of our organization will make the necessary contribution to Syria in this regard. Furthermore, we should always pay close attention to the problems of Muslim minorities and communities. They act actually as a strong bridge between the countries of the Organization of Islamic Cooperation and other countries. So we should be in unwavering solidarity with Muslim communities in other countries. In this regard, we attach importance to the attitude and decisions taken by our organization so far. Another important point is, my dear brothers and sisters, is the following. We must not allow the UNRWA, which performs an irreplaceable task of protecting Palestinian refugees, to be paralyzed by Israel. We expect our organization and individual member countries to disrupt Israel's games by supporting UNRWA materially and spiritually. With the representative office to be opened in Ankara, we'll hopefully make our support to this UN agency more visible from now on. I would like to take this opportunity to congratulate Cameroon on its successful presidency and express my delight at the increasing weight of African members in our organization. Before I conclude my remarks, I hope that the 51st meeting of the Council of Foreign Ministers of the Organization of Islamic Cooperation will prove to be fruitful and beneficial for the Islamic world and for the entire humanity. May God help us all. I greet you again with warmest of regards, and please convey my warmest of regards and respect to our brotherly peoples through you. Thank you so much, and I entrust you all to God.
Sayın Cumhurbaşkanımıza hitapları için şükranlarımızı.
We thank our Excellence, the President of the Republic of Turkey. He's now leaving the hall.
To leave the Republic of Turkey, His Excellency Recep Tayyip Erdogan, for joining us today and for sharing that speech with us and for his invaluable contributions.
Excellencies, now I would like to give the floor to His Excellency Mr. Philip Lazzarini, General Commissioner of UNRWA.
Excellency Minister Akam Fidan, Secretary General Taha, Excellencies, I welcome the opportunity to address you at a time of extraordinary challenges and dangerous escalation in the Middle East and the world. In Gaza, 2 million people are being starved. The newly created so-called aid mechanism is an abomination that humiliates and degrades desperate people. It is a death trap costing more lives than it saves. Food is weaponized and Palestinians are dehumanized without consequence. This is a culmination of 20 months of horror, inaction and impunity. 20 months in which a confined, captive population has been relentlessly bombarded, besieged and displaced. More than 55,000 people are reported killed, most of them women and children. Those still alive are shadows of their former selves, their lives forever changed by unspeakable trauma and profound loss. In the occupied West Bank, Palestinians have been displaced from camps in the north at level not seen since 1967. Public infrastructure is systematically destroyed, so Palestinians cannot return, and the demography of camps is permanently altered. Annexation is progressing steadily. Excellencies, across the occupied Palestinian territory, we are witnessing the implementation of a long-standing project to undermine the viability of a Palestinian state and to separate Palestinians from Palestine. So great is the desire to strip Palestinians from their refugee status and to sever the link to the occupied territory that UNRWA has become an objective of this war. At least 318 UNRWA personnel have been killed in Gaza since the war began, many with their families. This January, Israeli legislation came into effect, prohibiting UNRWA's activities in what Israel considers its sovereign territory, including occupied East Jerusalem, and prohibiting contact between Israeli authorities and the agencies. Consequently, international UNRWA staff have been effectively expelled from the occupied Palestinian territory. However, our activities continue. The courage and determination of our Palestinian staff, despite arrests, intimidation and harassment, ensure the delivery of essential services to Palestinian refugees, including primary health care and education. In the dystopian horror that is Gaza, UNRWA still provides more than 15,000 health consultations each day. We also play a critical role in managing shelters, providing clean water, and removing waste. The objective of dismantling the agency also underpins the fierce disinformation campaign spearheaded by Israel. This campaign targets lawmakers and the public in countries that support UNRWA, strangling our funding for critical services to Palestinian refugees. Excellencies, UNRWA's financial situation is dire. Without additional funding, I will soon have to take unprecedented decisions affecting our operation across the region. Palestinian refugees will be impacted most severely. The loss of UNRWA's stabilizing effect on a region in turmoil will also be consequential. In response to the very real possibility of the agency imploding, in the face of extraordinary adversity, the United Nations Secretary General has requested a strategic assessment of the impact and exercise of UNRWA's mandate. The strategic assessment will propose how the rights of Palestinian refugees might be protected amid the immense political, financial, and operational pressure the agency is under. This will require Member States to take bold, decisive, and long overdue action. Excellencies, UNRWA is a tremendous asset if what we seek is a just and lasting solution to the question of Palestine and its people. A genuine, time-bound political process would allow the agency to finally transition its government-like services to empowered and prepared public institutions serving Palestinians. In the absence of an orderly transition, the sudden loss or reduction of UNRWA services will only deepen suffering and despair across the occupied Palestinian territory. It might spark unrest in the neighboring countries. This is something that the region cannot afford, especially now. So, I appeal to the Organization for Islamic Cooperation and its member states to throw their full political and financial weight behind efforts to safeguard Palestinian refugees' access to protection and essential services. I urge you to act now, before it is too late for millions of people whose lives and future are in your hand. Thank you.
We thank Mr. Lazarini for his statement. Now I invite Mr. Khalid Khiari, UN Assistant Secretary General for Middle East, Asia and Pacific, to deliver his statement. Please, the floor is yours.
Your Excellency, Mr. Hakan Fidan, Minister of Foreign Affairs of the Republic of Turkey, Your Excellency, Mr. Ibrahim Taha, Secretary General of OIC, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I am honored to be today here on behalf of United Nations Secretary General, Mr. Antonio Guterres, and I join others in offering many thanks to the Republic of Turkey for its generous hospitality. For millennia, Istanbul